Welcome, everyone. I'm Mariquita Solis, the live stream host of allcreatures.org. Allcreatures.org was founded in 1998 by Pastor Frank Hoffman and his first wife, Mary. It was launched as the pioneer website in the United States for faith-based animal rights veganism. Today, led by our executive director, Tams Nicholson, we exist for all people seeking current animal rights, vegan resources, and offer decades of free animal rights and vegan content, including a huge repository of vegan sermons and Bible commentaries, animal rights strategies, free vegan authored books, recipes, upcoming events around the world, and the works of various vegan authors, poets, and artists. We host current sites for almost 20 vegan and animal rights organizations, including Stop Crush, Unparalleled Suffering, and the Committee to Abolish Sports Hunting. We also maintain nearly 25 archival sites from animal rights vegan activism of past decades. The bottom line is that we work to unite compassionate and empathetic humans across the globe from the past and present who honor the dignity of each and every creature so that all beings thrive on a flourishing planet Earth. So today I'm very honored to welcome Richard H. Schwartz, a mathematician turned vegan and environmental advocate who has significantly impacted both Jewish and broader communities. His book, Judaism and Vegetarianism, argues that a plant based diet aligns with Jewish values. Richard actively promotes veganism, emphasizing its ethical health and environmental benefits. He recognizes animal agriculture's negative environmental impact and advocates for veganism as a solution. His work transcends religious boundaries, inspiring a broader movement for ethical and sustainable living. So, welcome, Richard. You're joining us from.
Thanks, my pleasure, and I want to commend you and the wonderful organization you've been talking about. And wish you much continued success.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be here. So, this is my second time on this broadcast, being the representative of allcreatures.org. And I'm excited to talk to you because I've heard so much about you, and I know that we had a connection before that I met you in, but I've never been able to speak with you live. So this is wonderful. How long have you been vegan?
Okay. Actually, at first I was a vegetarian. It goes way back to 1978. So it's actually 45 years since then. And slowly but surely I moved toward veganism. And I came to vegan about the year 2000.
Wow. Okay. So that's a long time. What have you seen a lot of changes in the years?
Well, definitely. Well, the very fact, as I said, I was vegetarian, now vegan. Years and years ago, people, the main idea was vegetarianism, but now it's shifted to veganism because people see that it's not only animals raised for meat, but also for dairy and eggs that, as we pointed out, so terribly treated. So there's been that change, and there's been a movement, thank God, more and more people moving toward vegetarianism and even more so veganism, more moving toward animal rights, etc. And so, definitely have seen these changes and hoping we'll see a lot more because, as I hope we'll be able to discuss a little bit later, it's essential that there be a major shift, a societal shift to veganism if we want to have a decent world for future generations.
Amen to that. And we need to take action now. We need to really, I mean, we're running out of time, I feel like, and it's I just really have to keep the faith. And this is very important to have these faith-based discussions because sometimes can seem overwhelming and it feels like, oh, nothing's going to change and we can feel hopeless. And what do you do when that happens, Richard? What do you personally do?
Okay, well, knowing how essential it is that there be these changes, it just move ahead, and I send out letters and in touch with people and try to get on podcasts. So I really appreciate this opportunity to be interviewed by you, and hopefully it'll have a very positive effect and inspire people to be even more active.
Right. Yes, I love that. Active. That's a big word right there. So, I mean, to take action, right? I know there's a lot of people that are very depressed and sad and not taking action. So we need everyone to acknowledge the sadness and to acknowledge. I mean, it's normal to feel sad. It's normal to feel depressed, but let's to move out of that to into action, right?
Well, 100% right. It's essential. It's essential because this is the most critical issue of our day, most in terms of morality, religion, economics, and certainly the environment. We need action because, unfortunately, we're drifting toward a climate catastrophe. For example, many other environmental threats, and we have to make people more aware of it and take action because if we want a decent world, as I said, for future generations, there's got to be a major shift toward plant-based diets.
Exactly, you're right. And so, what when did you discover about vegetarianism, or was did you grow up with any family members that were vegetarian?
Actually, not. It all started. I was teaching mathematics at the College of Staten Island, and one of the courses was for liberal arts and science students. They were poorly motivated and not really very interested in math, but they had to take one math course to meet a degree requirement. So to try to motivate them, I came up with a unique course at that time called Mathematics and the Environment, and actually wrote 4 editions of a book called Mathematics for Global Survival. And we tried to tie it in with what's happening in the world. And one year, hunger was on the agenda, and at that time they were saying as many as 20 million people dying of hunger and effects. And I thought at first, well, I guess we just can't grow enough food. But then I read this wonderful book by Francis Lowell Pay called Diet for a Small Planet. And it pointed out the wastefulness of animal-based diet, so many people starving and being malnourished. It indicated that as much as 70% of the grain produced in the U.S., maybe 30-40% worldwide, being fed to animals destined for slaughter. So I realized then that reduce hunger should be towards veganism. I discussed this with the students after a couple of semesters. I moved step by step. And but surely, I still became a vegetarian in 1978, and I thought I had to get this message out. There were many good books on for vegetarian at the time, but nothing writers from this religion, especially Judaism. So I think it was 1982, the first edition of my book Judaism and Vegetarianism was published. And then 1988, the second edition, in 2001. And since then, changes. I showed the book Vegetarian, the more recent book, Revolution, the world, so story, and since then I've been trying to get the message out in every way possible. Being on this program is one of the one of the best ways.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are many different ways and to get the message out. So it's wonderful that you have written books and you've taken action like I
Mhm.
just keep emphasizing the action. You're an action taker. And so very, very grateful for that, Richard. So how does the peace of not eating creatures manifest in your life today?
Okay, well, but I feel very good about it. Thank God, I just had my 90th birthday, and I'm still active. Now living in Israel, retirement village. Go to the gym and the pool every day. I take part in the ping pong tournament. We just ended one a few weeks ago. I came in fourth, but the people that came in ahead of me were 5, 10, and 15 years younger than me. So thank God that even at 90, you can still be active and doing more than ever. Because Israel is one of the centers for veganism in the world. Small country, so you can have an impact. And among other things, I became the #1 letter writer in terms of published letters in the Jerusalem Post. and many of them on veganism and the impact on the environment, on climate change, for example. So, I'm just very thankful to have discovered it and trying to get others involved as well.
Right. Yes. Yes. I'm very thankful also that you discovered it too, because I wonder how many people's lives you've changed. So I'm sure many, 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 and people that you know don't even know that you've had an influence on. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that Jews and others should be vegans?
Okay. Well, actually, there are six basic mandates, teachings, or values in Judaism and other religions. Also, of course, all based on compassion and sharing and justice. So the six mandates. I'm going to mention the six, and then maybe spend a minute or so on each one, what Judaism and other religions teach about it, and how the realities we will differ from it. So the six mandates are to take care of our health, treat animals with compassion, and protect the environment, conserve natural resources, help hungry people, and seek and pursue peace. So in terms of health, this may be the most important Jewish mandate because within Judaism there's 613 what they call mitzvot or commandments, and 610 can be overridden if a life is in danger. There's something called Pekuach Nefesh, something the mandate to save a life. And it's in the Torah. It says, "V'nishmatem v'yovel nashoteihem," very diligently guard your health. So we have the teaching, but the realities in the world are far from it in terms of people's diet. But as you know, there are many peer-reviewed articles in respected medical journals that show the negative effects of animal-based diets. Okay, the second, in terms of compassion for animals, Judaism teaches that we are to be, what they say is Rahmanim b'nei Rahmanim, compassionate children of compassionate ancestors, imitating God who's compassionate over all of his works, all of his creatures. And that's in the book of Psalms, chapter 145, verse 9. So powerful teachings, but once again, the realities, and I'm sure many programs where this will be discussed, how animals are treated. Just to give another quick example, dairy cows are artificially impregnated every single year, and what even the industry calls rape racks, and then the babies are taken away right away, often for veal or raised as other dairy cows. So many examples of that. In terms of the environment, Judaism teaches in chapter 2, verse 15, that the human being was put in the Garden of Eden to work the land, but also to guard it. So we are supposed to be Shomrei Adamah, guardians of the earth, partners with God, co-workers with God in protecting the environment. But here too, there's like 8 billion people in the world, but about 80 billion farmed animals. And because of that is deforestation, soil erosion, loss of species, and most important, climate change that we'll talk about more later. Okay, so once again, we have the teachings and realities for in terms of conservation of resources. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verses 19 and 20, it indicates that even in wartime, you're not to destroy fruit-bearing trees to build a battering ram to overcome an enemy fortification. And the Jewish sages extended that into a general prohibition about not wasting. But animal-based diets, in addition to all the other negatives, are very wasteful. You want more land to grow the feed crops for the animals, etc. And by the way, that is very shameful because we take healthy foods like corn and oats and soy, high in fiber and complex carbohydrates, devoid of saturated fat and cholesterol, and we feed them to the animal, we get meat and other animal products with the opposite, very negative effects: high cholesterol, high saturated fat, no complex carbohydrates or fiber. And then in terms of hunger, I pointed out before, 70% of grain in the U.S. fed to animals, widespread hunger, almost 10% of world people malnourished, they're not getting enough proper nourishment. And now they say an estimated 9 million people dying every year of hunger and its effects. And so again, Jewish teachings and the reality is quite different. And finally, seek and pursue peace. And people may not see the connection right away, but the Jewish sages saw that the Hebrew words for war, milchama, and for bread, lechem, come from the same root. They deduce from this that when there's a shortage of grain and other resources, people are more likely to go to war. And that's been borne out in biblical days, battles over water, more recently over oil and other energy. So again, very, very powerful teaching, so that if people took their religion, whether Judaism, Christianity, Islam seriously, it really should be vegan.
Yes, you're right. I mean, well, you said so much, and it was, I mean, there's so much truth in everything you're saying, right?
Thank you.
I mean, the terrible, I mean, I guess beyond terrible. I mean, without explanation. I mean, with the what they do to the animals, taking the babies. When I see a human baby now, I think about how we love the human baby, but if and how we completely turn, not just turn, but just hurt in a just horrendous manner. These other babies are not valued. You know, this being is valued and this being is not valued, right? And we're hurting ourselves when we're eating these foods that aren't of the earth, like the Garden of Eden that was given to us, and that's behind our screen right now. And look how vibrant it looks. You know, these fruits are vibrant and they give us life, right? And so when we turn our backs on that, it's
all those
very
wonderful colors. Yeah, absolutely. When you mentioned the babies, I mentioned about the dairy cows, the babies taken away. Same thing in the egg laying hatcheries. Of course, the males can't lay eggs, and they haven't been artificially, genetically programmed like so-called broilers have been to have much meat. So they are killed right away. Almost 250 male chicks in the U.S. killed, put into bags to suffocate, to be with the other chickens on top, crushed and or maybe ground up for pet food or something. So it's true. The humans, we love our babies, and it's so important. But the babies in the animal kingdom are really very negatively treated.
Yeah, you're right. It's very sad. So, gosh. Well, how are you promoting veganism now? I mean, you're promoting it in so many ways.
Yeah. Well, trying to get on many programs like this. So once again, I appreciate this opportunity. I mentioned the number one letter writer in the Jerusalem Post. Also had articles there, and letters and articles in the Jerusalem Report. And I wrote one article, by the way, arguing that animal-based diets are against basic Jewish teachings, sent it to Jerusalem Post, and they said they would publish it if I could find a rabbi who would sort of dispute it, so that they can say that they have some kind of balance. I tried very hard, but I couldn't get a rabbi to write a contrasting point of view, because who can disagree that animal-based diets are very unhealthy with all the studies? That animals are mistreated, it's bad for the environment, it's the number one cause of climate change, etc. So these are the things I've been doing. One other thing, there's 4 New Years in the Jewish tradition. One is New Year for trees, etc. And we have a holiday called Tu B'Shvat that honors that. Another one is New Year for animals. Actually, in biblical days, it was used for tithing, for sacrifices. So my idea is to restore that ancient Jewish New Year for animals, but to transform it into a day devoted to increasing awareness of Jewish and other religions, powerful teachings on compassion for animals, and how far the realities are from that. And among other things, I am President Emeritus of Jewish Veg, and I'm happy to say that they have made a priority. That comes out 1 month before another Jewish year that people are more familiar with. That's Rosh Hashanah. And I'm hoping this year to really try to get that onto the agenda, because Judaism and other religions have such powerful teachings on compassion for animals, and it's important people get to know, be aware of these teachings, and how far realities are from that with regard to how we treat animals.
Right. I mean, and I bet you that you're going up against a big wall. And what do they say if you when you speak to a rabbi and try to have a conversation? What do you hear a lot from the rabbis? You would think that they would want to say, "I want to hear more. I want to," or that they would resonate with what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, unfortunately, you may have heard the expression, denial is not just a river in Egypt. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. So a lot of people just ignore it. The good news is that more and more rabbis are seeing it. It's still, unfortunately, a small percent. And the Jewish PhD is coming up with a new website. They're going to come out with big announcements about that, all the things that we're doing, and tying it in, as I said, with that really pushing that renewal of the Jewish community for animals. And they have a statement there. I think last I heard, over 200 rabbis signed on to that. So more and more rabbis are becoming aware, and we're hoping to be respectfully challenge other rabbis and say, you want people to be as observant as possible. How can you ignore, you said before, that at least 6 basic fundamental Jewish teachings are being violated by people on animal-based diets?
Right. Yeah. 6 basic fundamental teachings. Exactly. And what about people that say, well, when the animals were sacrificed, what do you say to that? I mean, we hear all these different arguments.
Right. Okay. Well, what's the name? Maimonides indicated this is a concession to the times. In ancient days, in biblical days, that was a common mode of worship. Other religions had even child sacrifice, human sacrifice, and Judaism eliminated that. And the idea was to keep it in one central place. The person couldn't just say, I'm going to sacrifice an animal in my house, my backyard. It had to be in the temple. And the idea was to actually get people off of the idolatry in that time. And of course, the biblical prophets indicated God's main concern was mercy, compassion, and not the animal sacrifices. As a matter of fact, the prophet Isaiah indicated that sacrifice could be an abomination if not carried out along with working for justice. And, a person shouldn't think I made a sacrifice there, I'm going to be okay. So, and after the destruction of the temple, we no longer have these sacrifices. We now have where the deeds, for example, as what God really wants.
Well, what you say makes a lot of sense. I mean, and those were different times, I mean, because I could see where I could say, well, we don't stone people anymore, right? We've evolved from that, or that's not our tradition anymore. We we don't do the same practices. We grow out of those practices. So yeah, but people come up with so many arguments. So that's why I asked you that. How do you handle these? So thank you for that answer. That was a really
Always with all of these questions, I would say there's a bottom line here. That is that every Jew, every person has a choice in their diet. In the Garden of Eden, it was vegan. Later on, after the days of Noah, the flood, because there wasn't meat supply, there wasn't the vegetation, God did give permission to eat meat. It's a choice. It's not like you must eat meat and all. And even then, it's indicated you can't eat the blood. So there's like a concession involved there, so that every person has a choice. And that choice should take into account the basic Jewish teachings and teachings of other religions if people are not Jewish anymore. And by the way, today, it's much easier to be a vegan because there's so many plant-based substitutes. Israel was one of the leading countries with regard to this, and it has so many advantages in terms of having the plant-based substitutes. You don't have to mistreat animals. It doesn't have the negative environmental and health effects so much. So there's more and more. So people say, well, I understand what you're saying. It sounds right. I can't disagree, but what can I do? I have this tremendous lust for that taste of meat. Well, now they can get it without killing the animals because, again, the plant-based substitutes based on soy and lentils and other vegan foods. So that can make a big, big difference.
It definitely does. Things have really changed throughout the decades. Right? I know people feel like nothing's changing, but it is changing. In fact, when I got my hair cut the other day, the hairdresser was telling me she's working on being vegan. I'm hearing more and more people tell me I'm working on being vegan. She said she had made some of the lion's mane steaks, and she told me she made them and she left them and her kids ate them and they wanted more steak, and she said, where's the dinner, right? I wanted a part of that. And she said, those were not steaks, those were mushrooms. And they couldn't believe it. So I was so happy to hear that. I mean, it seems like I'm just definitely hearing it a lot more now. And you're exactly right. We have so many substitutions and so many great recipes. So
the abundance, there's many more foods in the plant kingdom than the animal kingdom. And there's one point I was going to mention about this, but hit my mind for a minute. So ready for next comment or question?
Okay. All right. One of your books is Vegan Revolution. Why do you think there's a vegan revolution today?
Okay, well, I think there's still a relatively small amount of vegans, but it's improving very rapidly. And I think because people are becoming more aware of the health effects, the negative effects on animals, and the effects on the environment that, again, maybe we'll discuss a little bit later, it's the main cause of climate change. So, and also, as I mentioned, because there's been such an explosion of plant-based substitutes, or maybe this is the point I was thinking of before, they have done experiments and they find that very often people who are long-time meat eaters can't tell the difference between the animal product and the plant-based substitute because the appearance, texture, and taste are so close, and you get so many. And again, it's such an abundance of plants, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, whole grains. So you can be very well nourished, and again, far, far healthier, and your carbon footprint will be much less on that kind of diet.
Well, I think you made a great point when you said there's so much more food than, well, when you're thinking about chicken and meat and, pork, pig. Uh, I mean, those are people think that they're missing out, but it's like just a plethora of fruits and vegetables that they don't even know about. It's just an extraordinary number of newness. So it's really they're limited, very limited in their meals. I'm eating things that I never would have thought about. I mean, so I got a little. There's one of my friends, Muriel, has a little grandson, and they make food together. And he's learning. He even said meat causes cancer, which was great to hear. So they made a little frozen banana with is it cocoa? Anyway, that powder, and then they put in a little peanut butter. So I made those in the freezer. But so like it's spreading. The word is spreading. I mean, new ways to make things, and even to our children. So it's blessing to see her and her grandson and him learning and him saying, the detrimental health issues from eating meat at 5 years old or 6 years old. I mean, that just is so encouraging to me. So I mean, I think we really have come a long way. And that's true. This is the revolution, what you're talking about. That's an example of the revolution, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Very exciting. So, what would you say to a vegan that might be very angry at their family members, uh, or they might be really depressed, thinking that why won't my family change? Why won't my friends change? Why are they laughing at me? What would you say to that person?
Well, I would say that they have the diet that's best for them. And if these are from religious people, I think they wouldn't God want us to have a diet that's good for our health, that's good for the environment, that's good for animals? Again, there's so many teachings. The way every day in the Jewish morning prayer services says, blessed is the one whose compassion is over the earth. Blessed is the one whose compassion is over the animals. So that, again, we have all of these teachings. And you say, if you want a better world for your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, this is the way to go. And well, there's so much on the web. You can send them articles that indicate the health benefits and the other benefits. So you can have respectful dialogue with them and show them that this is really the way to go. And again, you mentioned that if they feel they must have that taste, well, nowadays you can get it with the plant-based substitutes.
That is true. And I love that you said respectful dialogues, right? Yeah, that's the key, right? And I guess if they're not wanting to be respectful, then you just have to move on, right? You have to take care of yourself. So, what about your family? Are they all vegan?
Well, my wife is now, and we have two grandsons that are vegan, another one vegetarian. So not completely, because again, I mentioned 1978, I became first a vegetarian. So let's see, 78, that means I was 34 years old. So the kids had got used to an animal-based diet, not all of them. Many of them uh, don't have meat during the week on the Sabbath, maybe. So not 100%, but I think they all understand where I come from and they respect that. And as I said, we do have some grandchildren that are vegan.
Well, that's good. That's true. And I don't think I've ever met anyone that says, yes, my whole family is, we'd love for them to be, but most of us, like my brother is, and then
Mhm.
some of my family is, but not all, right? I have some that are just totally the opposite. So
Yeah,
I mean, we just do the best we can. I mean, I do the best I can. So, and I'm sure you do too. And it does ripple out. So you never know when someone's going to come to you and say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to hear the message that you,
so, we have to serve as good examples and hopefully good health and, just respectful. And they see that doing well again at 90, thank God, doing pretty well.
that's wonderful. Yes. And I just spoke with Dr. Will Tuttle last week. He's looking very vibrant and healthy too. So yeah, y'all are great examples. So I mean, that's a wonderful advertisement for veganism. So yes. So part of your book's subtitle is Saving the World, Richard. Why do you think the world needs saving?
Okay, well, the main problem is climate change, but we're now in Israel, and we've already had, we just at this interview at the end of May, 4 heat waves here, and coming up, starting in a couple of days, we're going to have at least 6 days. We're going to give you the 10-day forecast, 6 days with temperatures over 90. By the way, as I said, we're in May now, and April 2024 was declared the hottest April. And what is really, really amazing, that makes 11 consecutive months that broke temperature records. We had last June was the hottest June, last July was the hottest July in recorded history, and it goes back to about 1880. And all 24 years in this 21st century so far are in the top 25. So it's really getting hotter and hotter. Last year, 2023, was the hottest year. And so, and of course of that, the seas are rising, the glaciers are melting, the polar ice caps are melting, the permafrost is melting, and that's very dangerous because that can release methane and other dangerous greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And there's been an increase in the frequency and severity of droughts, heat waves, wildfires, storms, and floods. And by the way, I just saw a couple of days ago, they're expecting a very severe hurricane season because the waters are very record temperatures nowadays. So you can have a tropical storm approaching the land, and because it picks up the energy from the hotter water, it should turn out to be maybe a category 4 or 5 hurricane. So, people say, well, we've always had hurricanes, we've always had droughts, but things that they call a 100-year storm, for example, sometimes they're happening, it seems every year, sometimes more than once a year. In addition to the hotter water, the hotter atmosphere holds more moisture, so that's another factor. And the waters have been rising so that when there is a storm, the storm surge can reach much further into the land. So we have all of that. And what makes it even more threatening in the future is that they have what they call vicious cycles or self-reinforcing positive feedback loops that make it much more dangerous in the future. Good news is that the prices for solar energy, wind power have decreased, so there's more and more of that. But as I said, it's self-reinforced positive feedback loops. Just to give an example, when there's a wildfire, and we've had so many of them recently, of course, all the trees that burn give up the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, increasing possibility of climate change. And the fact that trees have been destroyed, they were absorbing carbon dioxide before, and after that, no more. And many houses and cars are destroyed. You need a lot of energy in order to rebuild them, and that means much more fossil fuel will be emitted into the atmosphere. So it's really difficult. As a matter of fact, in 2018, the most important climate change group, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which has, as a name, intergovernmental, you have climate experts from many countries, so it's a consensus. 2018, they indicated that major changes are needed by 2030 in order to have a chance to avert a climate catastrophe. Unfortunately, every year since then, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has increased. So this is the main issue, the most important reason for people to be vegans today.
Right, you're exactly right. We've lost more than half of our trees, and how can we keep going? I mean, with more and more people, the demand for meat is outstanding, and the countries that are producing the meat, they are starving to death. So it's so sad.
No, yeah. Now you mentioned losing trees, and that's why I've said before that the main cause of climate change is animal agriculture for a couple of reasons. First of all, and it's happening right now as we speak, we are converting land that has carbon sequestering or absorbing trees into land where you have cows belching methane. And methane is a very potent greenhouse gas, at least 80 times as potent as carbon dioxide per unit weight in the 10 to 15 years in the atmosphere. But even more important, you mentioned losing trees. There used to be 6 trillion trees in the world way back, I think it's about 10,000 years we've had animal agriculture. There used to be 6 trillion trees, now it's about half, about 3 trillion trees. But 43% of the world's ice cream land is now being used for grazing of cattle and other animals and for producing the feed crops, corn, oats, and soy for the feeding the animals. And because of that, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that was 285 parts per billion at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution has now reached 400 parts per billion. And why that's significant is the climate experts believe that 350 parts per billion is like a threshold value. So we're way above that. And the tragedy is that the car approaching a dangerous situation, instead of slowing down, speeding up, there's an increase of about 2 to 3 parts per million every year in recent years. So it's essential that people shift to vegan diets so that we can reforest vast areas, 43% instead of the ice cream areas, and that can reduce the atmospheric carbon dioxide, hopefully to a safe level. Otherwise, the world is in great trouble, and it's hard to see how to be a decent world for future generations.
Exactly. And people, I've asked friends, like, how much of the population, I mean, the land, do you think is taken up by animal agriculture? And they might say 5%. They don't understand what a great percentage of the land, almost half the land, is taken up by animal agriculture. They don't even realize that. And then the waste from animal agriculture is just dumping into our earth. There's so many devastating things that people are unaware of.
Absolutely. Well, that's why it's so important, as I said, trying to restore that ancient Jewish need for animals, increase awareness of the Jewish teachings on it, and all the negatives of animal-based agriculture, and fortunately move in the right direction, but will it be soon enough? We need leadership to indicate that how threatened the world is and how essential it is that there be this shift to plant-based diets.
Right. Yes, we need a shift to save the world. Definitely. It's because we need to get our trees back. We need those trees. And we need our land. We need our animals. We're not going to have wild animals anymore. So, I mean, everything is tied together. People don't realize everything is tied together.
Right, right. And things have changed so much that if you look at the weight of all the animals, most of it is from human beings and farmed animals. The number of wild animals has been decreasing. And also the oceans, they're talking about possibly by the middle of the century, oceans could be almost devoid of fish because, they have these trawlers that select these very wide nets and take in not only the fish they want, but others as well. So doing that, and also the tropical rainforest being destroyed, and there's so many species of plants and animals there who are heading toward extinction. And among other things, they say some of the plants in these tropical rainforests, like the Amazon rainforest, there could be herbs there that might have the secrets to curing cancer and other life-threatening diseases.
Yeah, that is true, right? That holds the magic, the Amazon, the rainforest, and we are just plummeting it. So yes, it's very sad. And you're so right about the oceans. What's going to happen with all these dead zones? And I just feel so sad for the animals in the oceans. They can't even that they can't enjoy the ocean without plastic and all sorts of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sickening that we have lost respect for humanity. For I mean, humanity, all living beings, that we've lost respect for Mother Earth, that we walk on Mother Earth and see her as something we can take from, and we don't recognize her as a living being.
Yeah, absolutely. Things have to change, and people love to be out in nature and they enjoy nice weather, but it's hard to see. As I said, we've had 90 degrees here in Israel now, but we're talking about, let's see, I think in Pakistan, an incredible 150 degrees that reached at least in one community. And I think in many other places, they're well above 100 degrees already. It was in Brazil. It's very, very bad. And again, because of these vicious cycles, things are likely to get far worse unless we make this a priority. So replanting trees, shift away from that terrible animal-based diet. And of course, other things have to be done as well, moving to renewable energy, better transportation, people using it more. And, this has to be the number one issue. In religious people, we talk about God's earth, and, we're hoping in food tradition, we're talking about and hoping move back to a messianic period, something like the Garden of Eden. And by the way, Prophet Isaiah said that in that ideal time in the messianic period, the wolf will dwell with the lamb, the lion will exalt the ox, and among other things, no one shall hurt or destroy the whole God's land. So we have basic teachings and a lot of teachings on Israelites from the desert for 40 years. They had the manna from heaven and considered a vegan food. And now we have soy tofu, something like a modern day manna. So again, many positive choices.
Exactly. Well, what about another one of your books is subtitled Revitalizing Judaism. Why do you think that Judaism and other religions need revitalization? And how do your writings address this issue?
Yeah. Well, first of all, one of my books is called Who Stole My Religion? Because Judaism, like other religions, are radical religions in the best sense of the term, and yet people are not applying it. It says in the Torah, justice shall you pursue, seek peace and pursue it, be kind to the stranger, love thy neighbor as thyself, etc. So the very fact that the case for veganism and for animal rights and for environmental sustainability is so strong, and yet most religions are not taking part in that. So that alone is a need for revitalization, that it has to become, rituals important as reminders of certain things, but they say there's a particularist and universal messages, but very often it's the ritual that dominates, and people think, well, I daily rituals, so I'm really religious, but again, we have to apply the true values, and if not, then it's like we have the words with some of the actions, but we don't have the universal messages being applied in working past it, developing a more environmentally sustainable world.
Well, you're doing so much, Richard, and I'm I'm amazed. So you're going to build a major campaign to promote veganism in conjunction with your books. Can you explain this?
Okay, well, I have with my books, and I'm not even trying to sell them for the most part. I'm happy to give them away to as many people as possible. I have a large list of conservative rabbis, Reform, Orthodox, conservative, trying to get the message out to them, again, respectfully challenge to them. And so, I'm happy. By the way, just revised my website. It's now Jewish with a dash and then word vegan.org. And I have over 300 articles there. I have articles relating veganism to every Jewish holiday and the Sabbath, for example, and a whole bunch of articles on climate change, many about how we can be an activist. So I'm trying to get that out there, and again, get my books to people, and by the way, if people watching this, if they email me at veggierich@gmail.com, that's veggierich@gmail.com, I'll be happy to send a lot of information. Again, my website, over 300 articles on every aspect of veganism, vegetarianism, animal rights, environmental sustainability. I'd be happy to send free of charge information, because we need many people as possible to get the word out there, to write letters, and to speak to people very respectfully, and show them that if they want a decent world for themselves, future generation, this is definitely the way to go.
Exactly. And you said, is it veggie, Veggie,
Um,
rich,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
veggie?
@gmail.com. I'll be happy to send them that information. And if you can remember, just two words, Jewish with a dash and vegan .org, they can get to my website and see articles on so many things. Also has questions and answers because sometimes people say if it sounds good and then somebody asks them a question that they're not sure. So I try to anticipate and respond to as many questions as possible.
Right. And what can you tell me that one more? The Jewish, what is it?
Okay, it's Jewish and dash and vegan.org.
Okay. And these will be also in the show notes, right?
That's
Jewish
great. That's wonderful.
for everyone. Yes, to check out and make sure that if you go to email Richard so we can get these, you can get your hands on this important information to share to people. I mean, this is the time to take action. We have to. I mean, for the next generation, for the animals, for everything, for ourselves, for Mother Earth, who deserves. She's so divine and blessed. So yes. So
Yep.
so Richard, do you have any final thoughts as we come to the end of our time together that you'd like to share with us?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I want to urge everybody who sees this interview to talk very respectfully again to their priest, minister, rabbi, imam, whatever religion, and to talk to their friends, their family, and to help get the word out because it's really that the human voyage throughout so many thousand years is really in danger because if the world keeps heating up, again, all we've talked about the many environmental threats, climate change, with heating up already, this is all happening with a temperature increase of about 1.3 degrees Celsius since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and they're projecting easily 2, maybe 3 or more degrees Celsius increase, and then it gets so hot that it becomes unlivable. So again, to everybody watching, do whatever you can to get the message out. Be in touch. I'll be again happy to send all kinds of information and hope you spread that word on that. So once again, many thanks, and I look forward to seeing the link for this interview, and I'm definitely will share it very widely.
Well, Richard, we're very honored that you came here, and you're in Israel, right? Right now?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So,
I've
and
been I've been
go ahead.
here now almost 8 years. Been blessed with 4 grandchildren getting married. I have 8 great grandchildren. So see, and this inspires me to work for this better world in the future.
Well, yes, and you're taking action, like I keep saying, and I'm very inspired in that you've been doing this for so long, and it's not everyone that wakes up. So, what a blessing you are, and we encourage all. Hopefully, a lot of rabbis are going to be seeing this, and we encourage you all to share this with your ministers, your rabbis, right, your spiritual leaders, because together. I mean, that is the basis of pretty much all religions, of all spiritual groups, is kindness and compassion. So this goes along with it. It should be very common sense. So definitely get your
Well,
hands on Richard's books. And and do you have are you on Facebook or any social media like that, Richard?
I am on Facebook, and let's see, so I put things up on that. Let's see, well, I guess people can do a search. If they do a search for Richard Schwartz or vegetarianism, they'll find a Facebook address and all kinds of messages, things about the website and about the different articles I've written over the years. Because again, I've been involved for like almost 50 years now since was the middle 70s is when I sort of got started again. First book, Judaism and Vegetarianism, 1982. So people can gain a lot from that. And again, veggierich@gmail.com. I'll be happy to work with people, and also I'm always open to ideas, suggestions. So people will send comments and suggestions.
Well, thank you. You're very beyond kind.
Well, thank you, you too. And again, I wish you and your wonderful organization much success. And it's important we have such organizations. Hopefully, we work together and create a better world, a healthier, habitable, environmentally sustainable world for future generations.
Amen to that. Thank you very much, Richard. And I really appreciate everybody watching. And if you want to get more information on allcreatures.org, go definitely to www.allcreatures.org to check out the hundreds of thousands of pages of free resources that are updated daily, 7 days a week without break. Or sign up for our weekly newsletter. So be sure to search vegan churches on our site to find vegan faith based resources near you. And if you know of a resource that's not on our list, please reach out to our executive director, TAMS, at allcreatures.org. TAMS at all-creatures.org. So this has been wonderful. And Richard, thank you for everything you're doing. You are a true blessing to this world, and your energy will resonate. I don't just is going to ripple out to save this planet. For generations and generations. So thank you so much again, Richard, and thank you everyone for watching.
Okay, many thanks to you. And again, best wishes for continued success. All the best. And
Thank you.
shalom from Israel.
Shalom.